A young girl born with pyrokinetic powers she is struggling to control, Charlie McGee is struggling to live a normal kid life. When an incident at school calls unwanted attention to her and her family, she must now learn how to use her powers to protect the ones she loves. This is Firestarter. Firestarter is an adaptation of the Stephen King novel and a remake of the 1984 film. Let me just say right off the bat, I have never read the book or have seen the original film. Seriously, do I look like a guy who'd read? So I'm going to be judging this film on its own merits. And the film has very few of them, honestly. Firestarter could have worked if it committed to the superhero horror story that it wanted to tell, but it didn't. This is sadly a superhero origin story more than anything else, and an extremely generic one too. A quick IMDb search led me to find out that Ryan Kiera Armstrong, the lead actress of the film, was in a lot of other big movies. She was in It Chapter 2, but she died in that. She was in Black Widow, but she died in that too. This little girl needs a better agent, because this movie isn't doing her any favors either. Credit where it's due, I think she does okay in the film. Some scenes of hers may have benefited from another take or two, but overall, I think she delivers a decent performance. Much better than I think this film deserves, in all honesty. If anything, I think it's the talent behind the camera that really failed her. If you watch her one scene in It Chapter 2, she's great in that scene. So I know she's not a bad kid actor. A good performer can be ruined by bad directing, and this is definitely a case of that. Zac Efron is awesome in this movie, and man, you know you're getting old when Zac Efron is old enough to play a dad. Yeah, I didn't make that joke up, what of it? And much like Armstrong, I think he delivers a better performance than I think the film deserves. Speaking of Zac Efron's character, he does have one scene in the movie that's a flashback scene, actually, and I couldn't help but watch the movie and go, okay, that was kind of badass. Unrelated, Zac Efron playing a certain other Marvel Firestarter would not be a bad idea. Just throwing that out there. Speaking of superhero movies, this is a superhero origin story on almost every level. So if you're a Stephen King fan looking for Stephen King level horror, you're not going to get it in this film. There's like one scene of horror in this movie. It was so out of place. It just made me sad. If I had to compare this to any superhero movie out there, it's not just one of them, it's a whole lot of them. And by whole lot of them, I mean the Fox Marvel library of films. This film almost hits every trope as a Fox Marvel X-Men film does. They're running through the generic forest. They're running through the generic lab. That's how the Fox X-Men films go. Even Fox Marvel films I like suffer from that. Even the plot of this movie is eerily similar to the plot of Logan. There is one portion of this movie that is almost beat for beat a scene out of Logan. Now, once again, I don't know if it's in the books or not, so just roll with me on it. Basically, this film has the story of Logan, but with all the filmmaking prowess of the New Mutants. Something that didn't help the film was the camera work. Maybe it wasn't the camera work. I don't know what it is, but I could not, for the life of me, tell where the film is taking place in space. Almost every time a character is talking in this film, it is a close-up of their face. And I'm like, where are you right now? I don't know where you are. You could be in just a void in nowhere. I could believe it. Are you at your house? Are you at the store? Are you at the scary generic lab that is just there to be the scary generic lab because you gotta have the scary generic lab? I could not tell for the life of me where these characters existed in space. It just pissed me off. Maybe this was filmed during the peak of COVID and they couldn't have all the actors on scene together, so they just said, screw it, we'll just do a close-up of Zac Efron's face and roll from there. I will say this film is mercifully short. It's only 90 minutes, which some may say isn't enough time to fit in a 264-page novel. For context, Dune is a 412-page novel, and they only made half a movie for that. So I'd be lying if I said I wasn't interested to see what wasn't adapted from the book to the movie. But at the same time, I'm probably never going to read a book again in my life. The one thing in this movie I will call fire was John Carpenter's score. That dude did not need to go as hard as he did for this movie. But he did, and I'm grateful for it. If you're looking for a superhero horror story that actually meshes the two well together, I could recommend Brightburn. Wasn't a great movie, but I had a lot of fun watching it. As for Firestarter, I can just see this being a film that fizzles out quickly. I hope you all enjoyed this review, and if you did, please hit that like button. And if you want to see more, hit that subscribe button and ring that bell to be notified when my next review drops. Until next time, I'm Quentin Dunaway, hoping you will keep it cinematic.